Did the Los Angeles Rams just expose the Denver Broncos defense? So, the Rams are currently in town for 2 days of joint practices with the Denver Broncos at Centura Health Training Center. Today was day one of practices, and then we're going to be going back out there for day two of joint practices tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, it's only open to credentialed media as well as corporate sponsors, so I'm not able to get out there and see what's going on with my own two eyes. But I do have a little birdie out there who's keeping me informed with what's going on, and I do trust this individual with what they're seeing out there. So when this individual says that there's a concern for the Denver Broncos, I definitely would be alarmed when they are saying that because they know their stuff. Now, apparently, there is some good news coming out of these reports, as Russell Wilson was not quite as poor as some of the reports from the media are saying. He was let down by multiple dropped passes, including two drops that were publicly documented by Jerry Jeudy. So that is definitely a concern for the Denver Broncos wide receivers. Reports indicated that today was just not a very good day for Denver Broncos receivers, and it wasn't even necessarily because they were getting dominated by the Rams. They were just letting themselves down with self-inflicted wounds such as drops. However, there was one big negative thing that was highlighted in these joint practices with the Rams, and that is that their offensive line absolutely dominated the Denver Broncos pass rushers. So, in camp, in these one-on-one periods when the Denver Broncos pass rushers would be going up against our own offensive line, they were absolutely manhandling guys. Garrett Bowles, Mike McGlinchey, Cam Fleming, those guys were getting torched, especially by our edge rushers, such as Nick Benito, Randy Gregory, Frank Clark, Jonathan Cooper especially. And Cooper, I guess, had a decent day in 11 on 11 periods, but he did not have a very good day in one-on-ones, nor did the rest of the Denver Broncos D-line. According to my source that's out there, only one Denver Broncos defensive lineman won their rep in one-on-ones, and that's when you get a true litmus test of how good the pass rush is, quite frankly, and that is Matt Henningsen. These drills are catered for the defense to win, basically. And the fact that the Denver Broncos did not get a single one rep out there aside from the one by Matt Henningsen, that's very concerning to me. The Denver Broncos pass rush was one of their stronger looking units heading into training camp. However, this may have exposed that the reason why the Denver Broncos pass rush was looking so strong is because of the fact that they were going against, quite frankly, a paper thin offensive line in our first team guys. And unfortunately, that's kind of translated a little bit in these first two preseason games. The Denver Broncos pass rush was productive, but if you actually go back and look at who they were going against the Cardinals and the 49ers' second and third string offensive lines. They struggled when they went against Arizona's starters, and they also struggled when they went against San Francisco's starters for the most part. It was not until the 49ers and the Cardinals inserted their backups that our defensive line was actually able to generate some pressure as well as generate some impact plays in the run defense. So I'm concerned about this, especially because now that this is our first chance to go against somebody not in our own colors, if this defensive line continues to perform this poorly headed into the regular season, that's going to be a big issue because this was a unit that we thought was going to be one of our strongest going into the year. Now, I still believe in our edge rushers, especially our two young guys in Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper, and Randy Gregory has looked good out there as well. Frank Clark, I'm not as high on Frank Clark as other people here in Broncos country are, but still, man, our edge rushers, I'm hoping will be able to bounce back, but the fact that our interior D-line and Zach Allen was struggling out there, that's concerning to me because Zach Allen was absolutely wreaking havoc these past 2 weeks in camp, what I saw out there pretty much every single day. Apparently today, Zach Allen was super quiet, and that's concerning. And the fact that he wasn't dominating in one-on-ones like he had here in training camp previously, I'm concerned that maybe the reason why the Denver Broncos defensive line was truly so dominant in camp is because our offensive line is really that bad. And the Rams' offensive line isn't anything to write home about. So imagine what it's going to be like when we have to go against formidable offensive lines. We have to go against probably the best offensive line next, or second best, next to the Philadelphia Eagles this year in the Detroit Lions. And we've got several other opponents this year that have really strong offensive lines. The Kansas City Chiefs have a strong offensive line. Chargers have a strong offensive line. So those are two divisional opponents right there. I'm really concerned about what strong offensive lines are going to do to neutralize our pass rush. And again, if our pass rush can't get home, then our defense is not going to be successful, and in turn, our team's not going to be successful. So here's hoping that in day 2 of joint practices with the Rams, that our pass rushers are going to go out there with their hair on fire, and they're going to go out there and do some ass kicking in 1-on-1s and in 11-on-11s, because if we get a report coming out of camp for a second day in a row that our pass rushers were getting manhandled by the Rams offensive line, then it's time to sound the alarm, Broncos country, because that could be a big issue. All right, guys, how do you feel about this report that our pass rush is getting overwhelmed by the Rams offensive line in these joint practices? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video, as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are 2 free and easy ways to show your support, helps tell the old algorithm to push us out, and helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.